Hey everyone,
Everyone.
thank you for joining AWS On Air for another industry session. Today, we will take a deeper look into the advertising and marketing industry. I am Ana Cunha, developer advocate at AWS, and here with me we have Clark Fredrickson, head of global marketing at AWS for the advertising and marketing technology industry. Welcome, Clark. Along with Clark, we also have Chris Kutan, Head of Global Business Development in Media and Entertainment, specializing in direct-to-consumer technology. Welcome, Chris. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey.
So we'll start off with Clark and Chris giving us an industry overview, and then we'll have two customers from Tripolif, a leading advertisement technology company with a really cool use case about computer vision and machine learning for contextual advertising. So before we dive into what Tripolif is doing, let's do a quick recap of reInvent 2020 for the advertising and marketing industry. Clark, what have you seen so far in advertising or marketing technology what have you seen so far that customers in ad or marketing technology should be paying attention to?
Yeah, so thanks, Anna. A few big stories to share and highlight so far. So I think the first is that there have been a ton of compute announcements this year that can help our customers in advertising technology and marketing technology and advertising agencies that run, big data pipelines for ad analytics and or real-time bidding or data pipelines, content management systems, CRM applications. We're operating at massive scale and help them reduce costs and improve performance in particular. So a couple examples would be like Graviton, a lot of announcements with Graviton 2 processors on new instance types or being applied to new services. So like example would be EMR with Graviton 2 now provides 30% lower costs and up to 15% improved performance for big data jobs with EMR. Or new C6GN instances with Graviton 2 delivers 100 gigabit per second networking performance and 40% better price performance over comparable current generation x86 instances, for example. And then a lot of other compute announcements, too, that are worth looking at and just kind of illustrating the breadth of and depth and sizes and types of compute that you can use with AWS to improve performance and cost of ownership, especially for compute-intensive workloads, like a lot of customers run in ad technology, for example. So things like M5 Xen instance types, which were announced with Intel Xeon scalable processors, have 45% better compute performance than current generation M5 instances. Or another one was D3EN instance types with the highest storage capacity available in the cloud for local HDD storage. And speaking of storage, a bunch of new options were released with high IOPS and high throughput workloads like EBS IO2 Block Express and GP3 volumes. So, quite a few things that can help customers kind of reduce costs. Another example would be Lambda now does single millisecond billing. And we think this is pretty exciting for customers, particularly in ad tech that are operating at single-digit millisecond latency for logging or decisioning or bidding, and might be able to take advantage of serverless in a cost-effective way that might not have previously been possible. Analytics is another area. So customers in this industry are trying to develop solutions for data privacy and interoperability across different cloud providers and infrastructure. And so two announcements that were made this week are pretty interesting for that. One is Athena Federated Query, and the other is Amazon Redshift data sharing. Both enable some very interesting kind of interoperability and query federation solutions that are going to be worthwhile for customers in the industry to check out. Also related on analytics, we released new deployment options for EMR running on EKS, so you can run more big data jobs with containers more easily now. Especially like we see with advertising or marketing analytics platforms ingesting tens or hundreds of billions of events per day, for example. So those are some of the exciting announcements that we've seen from a compute and analytics point of view. Chris will talk about the machine learning in a second. I also want to say that this is kind of a big year for the advertising and marketing technology industry at reInvent. And the reason is that it comes kind of at a time when the industry is shifting away from third-party cookies and essentially reinventing itself with first-party data and query federation and identity solutions, and not to mention moving away from some of the commoditized portions of ad tech or real-time bidding or marketing technology, and more customers focusing on differentiated work, for example, with machine learning. So it's really exciting to see some customers take advantage of the cloud to accelerate innovation or reduce costs for particularly massively scaled workloads, and that's why we're excited to have a customer like Tripolif here today to talk about that with contextual advertising. And speaking of kind of customer stories that we've got here, there are some really interesting ones that I really suggest customers check out. For example, Integral Ad Science is here talking about migrating their ad verification, brand safety, contextual workloads to the cloud to expand their global footprint and reduce costs. The Trade Desk is here to talk about running Aerospike with EC2 at massive scale, and and one of the examples they give with Aerospike, which is a NoSQL database partner, is a database that essentially writes 30 million writes per second, which is pretty incredible scale and speed. Salesforce is here to talk about building their Customer 360 product to handle exabyte scale data processing and identity resolution for billions of user profiles. Nielsen's here to talk about processing 250 billion events a day for their data management platform in Nielsen Marketing Cloud using serverless pipeline with Lambda and EKS running Spark. Freewheel, a Comcast company, is here talking about machine learning with SageMaker they use to predict ad inventory with time series data 3 to 6 months in advance for both digital and TV advertising. And Cox Automotive's here to talk about an identity graph they built for personalization and to solve for data privacy and user preferences in this kind of post-cookie world. So a lot of exciting sessions this year in the industry, and customers taking advantage of the cloud for a bunch of different reasons in areas like compute and analytics and machine learning. So it's exciting to see, and we encourage customers to check it out. The other thing we wanted to mention, of course, was machine learning. There's a ton of examples this year and new services that have been launched that are worth taking a look at for customers in the industry, especially with Amazon SageMaker to support ad tech customers with use cases like identity resolution or contextual analysis and inventory prediction, data privacy. So I want to introduce Krith Kusan from our media and entertainment team to talk a little bit more about that.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Clark. So yes, as Clark already mentioned, very exciting reInvent so far when it comes to machine learning, the machine learning perspective, especially for customers in the ad tech space and the media space. A couple of examples. Earlier this week, we announced Amazon Neptune ML, which enables easy, fast, and accurate predictions on graph databases. Clark mentioned a couple of use cases already briefly, but this should be specifically super exciting for customers looking to do more predictive matching of first-party data for identity resolution, identity graphs, Customer 360, and data platforms. This in general enables better personalization as a use case, better ad targeting, and also helps customers to enable companies to move, helps companies to enable to move past relying on third-party cookies. When it comes to the AI services, we have seen a lot of exciting innovation for advertising and media already the last couple of months. So just want to mention Amazon personalized, very specific features for the space, Amazon recognition custom labels, and also Amazon Translate for with like active custom translations. Going to go into details there, but definitely something worth checking out. This week specifically, we launched Amazon Lookout for Metrics. That's a service that automatically detects anomalies in business and operational time series data and identifies the root cause and helps identify the root cause for that anomalies. This is particularly relevant for click-through rate, conversion, and ad performance anomaly detection and analysis. And then, as Clark mentioned, a ton of relevant announcements within the SageMaker area. a SageMaker service that help customer in advertising and media to accelerate time to market and reduce costs and like overhead for data science. So a couple of examples here. We announced Amazon SageMaker feature store last week, which enables you to store, update, retrieve, and share ML features with low latency and real-time inferencing. That should be pretty relevant for customers with real-time bidding workloads, for example. We also this week announced distributed training with SageMaker, which means customers can train models, massively scaled models for up to 40% faster. And a couple of other small, couple of other announcements I also want to mention, like a SageMaker Data Wrangler to make data preparation and feature engineering easier, SageMaker pipelines to enable continuous integration and continuous delivery as a fully managed service, SageMaker Clarify to look at and reduce bias in models, and then SageMaker Debugger with real-time monitoring and profiling for training jobs. So lots of innovation, as we said, but now back to Anna, and just take it from here.
Sure. Thank you both for reviewing what customers in the advertising and marketing industry should look out to. So now we're going to hear from a customer that's using AWS for a really neat advertising technology use case. We're excited to have Tripolif here today to talk about how they're using AWS services for their contextual advertising product for streaming TV. Let me just add them to our stream. So here with us, we have Sam Shapiro, Product Engineering Manager for Advanced Advertising at Tripolif, and Luis Bracamontes, Machine Learning Engineer at Tripolif.
Thank you.
Hello, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. So to get things started, Sam, can you tell us some more about what is
absolutely.
Tripolif?
So Tripolif's a technology company that's really rooted at the intersection of creative and media. We're an advertising platform where creative fits seamlessly into every experience across desktop, across mobile, and across video more recently. And so we really got our history and sort of the start of the business was with what we call in-feed advertising on the web. And more recently, we have branched out into new video formats and OTT specifically. And so as we expand, the world of over-the-top television is sort of expanding. We see streaming video as the next area of media that we seek to really revolutionize. And so we have developed these in-show ad units for OTT environments. And these sort of range across the spectrum of 2D motion graphic executions to 3D product placement. And these would be, or they are sort of user-targeted, user level, integrated formats.
All right. So for those that, like me, might not be familiar with OTT, can you tell us what exactly are OTT ad formats?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the marketplace of video streaming and video streaming services has, rapidly expanded over the last, couple of years. Colloquially, this is sort of being called the streaming wars that we're sort of seeing ourselves in right now. And because of all of the increased competition in the OTT space, many media companies, networks, and streaming services have sort of publicly stated that they, want to create better user experiences and in some cases, reduce traditional ad load and traditional commercial breaks, which, as we all know, can be somewhat, intrusive to the user experience. And so these new Tripolif OTT ad formats that I'll kind of walk through are really Tripolif's response to that. And they're a way for these streaming services and networks to, to achieve their mission of reducing ad load, creating better user experiences, while maintaining, new forms of monetization. And so what we're sort of developing here is really a never before seen liquid marketplace, which is in the form of programmatic brand integrations that are being done really on a user level basis, instead of, everyone who ever watches the show is always going to see the same exact brand integration. So I'll just show a video now that kind of gives some examples so you can visually see, what I'm talking about.
Drum roll, please.
Go for it, go for it, go!
Oh, shh, it's starting. Down!
This is everything I've ever wanted.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Do you have the other video you want to show us? Is that right now, or?
Yeah, I can kind of just talk through at sort of a high level, how this works.
Okay, yeah.
So from a technology perspective, to sort of achieve this at scale, there's three sort of main technology pieces. The first is content analysis. So when we start working with a new publisher or streaming service, we get, dozens or hundreds of hours of a show. We need to analyze it. We need to find places where we can do, these brand insertions. So we're looking for things like flat surfaces, narrative moments, things that are not going to be interruptive to the narrative. Once we found the placements, the second component is the actual compositing of the visual effects. And this video, which I can just sort of talk over, just shows sort of how some of the computer vision, which Luis is going to go more into detail in a minute on, looks for things like flat surfaces where we can do these. Like I said, the second element is the actual compositing. So like what you're seeing here, where we've identified that flat surface behind Donald Glover, and now it's being changed programmatically. And then finally, the third component is, we have modified versions of the content, and now it needs to be delivered to the end user programmatically, so that different users are seeing different versions of the clip. So this sort of shows how we use server-side ad insertion to kind of, you can see a Mountain Dew product and a Gatorade product as examples here of this sort of dynamically being changed. So at a high level, that's sort of how it works.
Yeah, that's really impressive. So Luis, can you give us an overview of how does this work under the hood?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So as Sam already mentioned, we are analyzing video, and here you can see the diagram that shows how the workflow goes. From left to right, every time we get a new piece of video or content into one of our S3 buckets, that triggers a Lambda, and the Lambda selects from a pool of EC2 instances that we have running, which works as the orchestrator of the main application, and sends the request to one of those instances. And inside of the instances, there are basically 4 steps of computation. The first one, which is the one we see on top, first, the orchestrator sends a request to shot recognition to get a response and chop the video based on the shot detections or the cuts in the video. The second step, it sends a request to one of our endpoints that are running in SageMaker. And SageMaker is running a custom model that we have for detection for planes and surfaces. And it also grabs the video from S3, and everything is running locally, and it's executed in SageMaker, that part of the model. The third part is once we get the response from shot recognition, we chop the shots, or we divide the video into chops that represent each shot, and from each shot we extract the middle frame, and that middle frame is sent to a queue in Amazon SQS, and when there is a new message into that queue, that triggers another Lambda, and this Lambda executes a request that is sent to recognition. And this is like normal recognition, not short recognition. And here, basically, we are filtering certain labels based on the use case that we have, and also detection. Here, we're also identifying all the faces, so we can get a better context about the emotions and how people might be feeling in the shot. Recognition also helps us identify celebrities, because that's something that we are interested in as well. And once we get all the responses from all these services, we would write everything into our database. Here, this helps us keep track of everything that is being generated by our model, mainly by our model, so we can keep reiterating and improving into the accuracy. And in the end, we also upload a lot of files into one of the S3 buckets, where we are saving most of the data. The final output of the whole architecture looks like this, the dotted square that you can see at the bottom. That's what gets stored into S3, and it's basically an MP4 file that is a not that heavy version of the original MP4 file, where we can see all the annotations with tracking that were detected by our model. We're also saving the files that represent the output of the tracking, so we can easily reproduce the output of the model. The video shots that we got from shot recognition, the middle frame, so we can have a quick visualization of what the shot looks like, and also a filter, some of the detections and classifications from recognition, but filtered to represent specific objects that we might use for labeling and keep improving as well on our model that is running in Amazon SageMaker. Yeah, that's an overview.
Cool. So hey, Luis, first of all, this is a great workload. This is, it's a really interesting one for the industry, and it's definitely, I'd say, hot right now, in the sense that a lot of companies are looking at contextual solutions for a number of reasons in streaming media or digital advertising. So thanks for sharing this one today. I want to ask you a couple questions. So one is, tell us a little bit about what was hard about doing this. What challenges did you face, in terms of building this kind of multi-threaded pipeline, and with, again, analyzing all these types of media?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the question, Clark. And as Sam already mentioned, we are trying to innovate the advertisement industry. We are creating new formats, right? So this is something that is new and something that is very common, probably for people that are familiar with machine learning workloads. The lack of data, it's something that we have been struggling with, but also something that makes this more challenging is the lack of platform that does video analysis. So here, we couldn't just start working on a model that can actually detect very accurately all those surfaces and all those planes, because most solutions that help you do video analysis, it's very difficult to bring in models for which the complexity is higher. And what I mean by that is a problem that cannot be solved just with detection, object detection or image classification. So we had to create first a platform that analyzes videos at scale, and then actually work on the model. The final challenge as well is that even though we are interested in planes and surfaces and certain objects, not all objects represent good opportunities for app placement. So we need to consider context, what people are saying, what worked for one video might not work for another one. So we are failing those three challenges, I would say. Face it. Sorry.
So I want to ask you, what have been some of the internal results you've seen from using AWS to build this and from launching this generally, on your team?
Yeah, sure. So this the main impact that this has had in our team, I would say, is we have reduced considerably the amount of time that people in our team were using to watch the videos, like from beginning to the end. That's something that we call internally human analysis or human vision. So by using this architecture that we showed, like, we have significantly reduced the amount of time they need to spend on those videos. And also we are able to process more videos as well. Now, as we are scaling and growing, there is more and more volume and more videos, and we need to get responses for meaningful ad placements or opportunities much faster than before. And also in terms of scalability, particularly the scalability ability of SageMaker, I would say that's something that we've been using a lot because it works really well. As we get more videos, it scales automatically, and we don't need to make a lot of changes in our architecture.
Cool. Okay, now Sam, we're almost out of time. Same question for you. What about impact overall on Tripolif's business that you can share?
Yeah, I mean, we've really expanded into a new market here with a brand new business. These are new product lines for Tripolif. And so that's what's been really exciting about this, is effectively inventing a never before seen market with new ad formats. This is a market that traditionally, product placement, brand integrations. This is a market that traditionally, it's been around for a really long time, since basically the beginning of film and television. And now with, sort of new technologies, there's this opportunity to sort of, have this radically new, different spin on brand integrations, basically. And so that's what we've been able to do.
Yeah. So I'll leave your contact info up here.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if anyone out there enjoyed the presentation, you want to learn more or chat, or if you're, we're hiring. So if you're interested in any opportunities, we'd love to chat. These are our email addresses, and feel free to reach out.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you both. I'm honestly quite impressed with what Tripolif is building using AWS. And I can definitely say these are the sort of ads I wouldn't mind watching. So thank you, Sam and Luis, for joining us today.
Thank you, Claire.